Hockey cocky. Hockey cocky cocky. So we should be streaming. So, welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Okay, so let me run through the markets. All right, so let's start off with euro dollar. I'm sorry I'm starting a little bit late. I was getting my hair cut, so just trying to make sure all of that stuff is working. And streaming should be good. We should be good. Let's see how that's going. Stream health is excellent. Okay, good. Right. Okay, so let me kick off. So, and where are we at the moment? Okay, so I've kind of mapped out there's a potential shift in the movement of euro dollars. We've had a very, very strong dollar at the moment. The US economy is on fire. And it's interesting because the data says the US economy is on fire, but at the same time, there's all this very negative media. And also you look at the stock market and you think, well, if the economy is on fire, why is the stock market struggling? So, and actually it's because, well, we're living in very interesting times. We do have a housing market bubble, I believe, and a car sales, car bubble. So cars are very expensive. Houses are also very expensive. And so we have bubbles bursting. And in a way, the way I would think about it is it's an adjustment. It's an adjustment, like a price adjustment, where things that are too expensive are the things that are absorbing a lot of people's spare income. And that stuff has to kind of come down. Corporations, all your subscriptions, all your little things, you're slowly bleeding cash. And although people are doing okay, they're just finding ways to spend their money. And so I think there's a bit of an adjustment there. And so this could be something, this should be a good thing. Should be something that's good for us once we get out of it. Anyway, Usman, thank you very much for joining me. So my point is this. Part of the reason the dollar is generally strong is not just because of the economy, but bonds as well. The dollar itself is, with treasury yields as well, is making some good money. So bonds as well are relatively attractive and a strong dollar. And those two things combined are putting on just a lot of pressure on the global markets. But overall, I don't think the global markets are necessarily in a bad place. Okay. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. Now, weaker euro starting to move to the upside. So this is kind of what you would do. You'd sort of just draw a line under it. I mapped out a potential move to the upside. So in other words, if we were going to do a change in direction, you usually go from a downtrend to a bit of you could call it a, I've just blanked on the word, but okay, consolidation phase, and then you could break out to the upsides, or you do a double bottom. There's different kinds of variations of a changing trend. Excuse me, and it's quite funny because I sort of mapped this out, but I would say now the point you want to watch is this high over here. So if I just get rid of everything, this high over here, once we break that, there'll be an acceleration to the upside, and we're not there. We're just not there. Actually, what happened today, which is somewhat significant, is we effectively kind of broke through, started to break sort of down of this trend line. So if I just put that there, and I only use a trend line as a general line in the sand. So if we start to dip below it, we're not as bullish, because if we're very bullish, we'll tend to stay above a line. If we're very bearish, we'll tend to stay below a line. So when we go from above a line to below a line, we're shifting from bullish to bearish. So the line is just there to put a line saying, okay, if we're above that, we're bullish. If we're below that, we could be going bearish. So I'm just kind of mentioning that. And when that happens, the very first thing that I do is I look at the higher time frame, which is the weekly. And so what you see when you look at the weekly here is a retracement back into the moving averages and a bearish continuation candle. But we are still at a major level of support and resistance. So the two things combined creates a bit of a contradiction. We are not, we could still bounce off here and come back, and we are overextended. So this is where the contradiction comes from. Okay, a little bit of an extra thing is that the MACD is not above 0. So when the MACD is above 0, that's generally a sign that you're bullish. So how that could unfold, this is a hypothetical play, is that the market comes up from here. Tomorrow we get a strong bullish candle, breaks above here and breaks above the 0. And so when it does that, then the momentum is almost certainly shifting to the upside, which means that at least for the next few days, if not the next few weeks after that, you could look for buys. Richard, how are you doing? Good to have you with me. Also, a couple of things. I meant to post the MT5 coding thing this week, but I've been very, very busy, and I'm actually creating my first course, which I'm going to trial on Saturday, but it's not really available to anyone just yet. And if it goes down well, then I'll package it. So I'm also wanting to create stuff for my membership section. So my membership section is going to be quite detailed when I do it, and it has like 3 levels, and there's live trading sessions and mentoring sessions and market scans on different degrees. So it takes me a lot of time. I'm not skilled at creating that kind of thing. I can do the content if you tell me what to do, but for me to plan a whole curriculum it's not my strong point. So I'm working on that, okay? And then if you guys are interested, then there'd be like different membership levels that you could have. But the idea is that there'd be stuff I'd be doing every other day with you, and then live market trading or scans or whatever to physically change the results of your trading. So anyway, I just mapped it out, but there's no setup just yet. Okay, so basically, long story short, no setup there. Let's just get rid of these lines. Not really a setup here because you had a downtrend, we've lost the downtrend. So for now, you want to just stay away from it. Aussie dollar, same thing. This is very choppy. So it just means don't look for any end of day setups on it. It's too choppy. Your trades become lower probability, higher risk. They're not worth it. Kiwi dollar as well. So Kiwi dollar is slightly different. You can see here there's a level of support in this area and a pullback to that. We actually had that. And so this could arguably be said as a setup. It went. There was the setup. I haven't been looking at end of day setups this week. I've just been too busy, but we'll see. So I'd leave it for now. But if it pulls back up to this area and we get... Okay, if it pulls back up into this area, I'm going to adjust that a little bit, just a little bit up to here somewhere. If we pulls it in here, we get a double top, then there would be a sell setup, but I would go for it. Dollar yen, no setup. And it's quite funny because when you look at it now, this is relatively obvious as a bit of a breakout trade. I prefer a pullback. I prefer pullbacks because you get more room to capture some profit before you break to a new high. But you also get breakouts. So every entry into a trade, guys, is either a breakout or a pullback. There isn't another kind. And so this was leading to a breakout. Okay. Oh, no, that's okay. That's okay. It's like me the one day when I said I meant to send you something. I've got too many things spinning. But I have some stuff in motion that could simplify what I end up doing next year. So I might just end up, in a perfect world, I would spend my mornings trading, maybe do 1 or 2 webinars a week to do market analysis for clients, and then I would do mentoring sessions for guys. Because then that way I spend about 25 hours a week working. It's trading related, which I love, and I have a purpose. Because I've done the whole trade, lived in Canary Wharf, and all I did was just trade. And it sounds great, but I got so bored. Once I hit the gym, once I hit Netflix, I got so bored. So I know that I need something else to do. So I'm trying to find the right kind of balance whereby I can transfer my skills to other people, make some money, and trade and enjoy myself and not burn out. So it's all those different things. Okay, Aussie dollar. Do I think Aussie dollar will continue to fall, drop off the weekly chart? The answer to that sort of partially lies with the US dollar. If the US dollar reverses here, this would have to be really weak to fall off that. It currently does. I know it's bearish, but it's very tricky to tell. Sorry, man. It's a consolidation. I would either wait for, and you can see the bullish stuff here. A little bit of the MACD's flat now. MACD's going flat, so it's not giving any real clues. Okay. This is interesting. Just look how nice and smooth dollar Swissy is. Now it looks as though it is becoming bullish. So you have to wait. You have to have something like this happen. You have to go from here to there, to there, to there. That's what you're looking for. Okay, so we're looking for something like that, and the moving averages will come through that. So that's what I'm looking for. So in other words, I would take the first setup, which would be number 3, once you've done that, which is probably not next week, probably the week after. Dollar CAD, we need a pullback, but it looks really good. And it does have a major level here. I would have to point that out, major level here. But, and again, the dollar weakening would impact that. The pullbacks, dollar CAD should be on the watch list for pullbacks. It's looking good. These are good things to trade. Euro GBP, very choppy and messy. And actually, it's been choppy and messy going all the way back to June. It's not really great. I wouldn't look at anything there. Euro yen. Just look at this. Wow. Okay, that's just me. Just look at that. Sorry. Okay. So, just a mess. I'm going to clear this up. Done. Yeah, let's just do it. Just clean it up. But yeah, that's a mess. So I'll come back to that. I'll do that one later. So there's nothing really there. You're a Swissy, also very strong bullish candle here, coming up to here to test this. So that was actually a breakout, a retest, a move on, come back up, a double top, another retest. So this is a little bit choppy. I would say if you get a bearish candle here to the downside below these lows, that's a continuation. But otherwise I'd leave it because you've got another level here. So you've got a lot of things going on. Okay, there's a lot of stuff going on there. Okay, EuroCAD. EuroCAD is looking bullish, so I find that interesting. EuroCAD has got the 10 and 20, the 5 and 20, sorry, bullish formation and a bit of a pullback. There could be a little bit of a setup here to carry on. Okay, so that's interesting. And you see how your MACD is trending higher and this is higher. It looks nice and bullish. So how would I take this and then go for day trading opportunities? So something like this would sit on my day trading watch list. I would then go to a lower time frame, down to say 2 hours, and tomorrow, not now, and tomorrow start looking for breaks above these levels and just get past that point. That's a very tricky point right there. Once you start to break past that, you'd have a nice uptrend. So again, I would go down to 30 minutes. I know where the levels are. I know what I got to watch for. And tomorrow, if it was breaking above that, I'd be looking for any kind of pullbacks. On the 15 minutes, all good. So I'd be looking for any kind of things like this. This is beautiful. So there's a nice pullback, a nice bullish candle. I'd be looking for exactly that above this level. So it's broken through that resistance level and looking for exactly that. And very simple. Entry, stop loss, 3 to 1. So interesting. So EuroCAD would sit, for example, on my watch list for that. Does that make sense? Okay, so uptrend, but very choppy and a very big bullish candle. So arguably, you could, this one of two things is going to happen here. It's either going to change into a downtrend or it's going to resume the uptrend, most likely. So what you do then is you look for an entry around yesterday's bar. So you're here and you place an entry above the high there, stop loss below the low there, and then if today or tomorrow this goes back up, it's basically, it's a continuation to the upside. So the order would just sit above there and above there. Stop loss here, entry above that. If tomorrow is bullish, it would trigger in and carry on up. Same for Euro Kiwi. Same thing. And hopefully that makes sense. So if tomorrow ends up being a bullish candle and goes up, you get triggered in. So it should be a relatively low risk setup because the odds of it, it's either going to carry on down so you don't get triggered in, or it turns around and goes up, which means it should be very bullish and should take you in with it. Pound yen. Okay, it's a mess. It's sideways. It's the bottom of a range. Let's talk for a moment about risk probability of trade setups. So this is at the bottom of a range. How do I know that? Because I can see the range. There's the top of the range. It's not trending. It's not trending up. It's not trending down. So there are lots of trades you can take. You can take different trade setups. You can take lots of patterns, but each trade setup comes with a degree of safety or probability of success with it and potential profit. So this is the idea. This is at the bottom of a range that looks like this. There's your range. And it's at the bottom of a range producing a bullish candle. So does that mean that it's likely to go up here? Probably. Like there's a 65+% chance it's going to go up to there. The problem is, so that's your probability of a move, but it isn't your probability of profit or possibility of profit. The problem is that your limit is up here. So if it gets up here and then rejects it, you're taking a one-to-one trade, which you can do. There's a high probability you'll get some money there. But for the stress that you take, as a new trader? Is it worth your while to get into a relationship with a trade that is very average? And if it's going to break out, you'll have to see how that goes. You'd have to keep your stop loss over here. And I would, if I was going to do it, so if somebody stuck a gun to my head and said, you have to trade this, you have to, then I would buy on the break above the high, try to capture profit before we get there, have my stop loss here, and then maybe just either close out the trade and go, that's it. I wouldn't try to gamble that it's going to break out of the range and do that kind of thing. Pound Swissy is looking more bullish for the time being. It was looking, generally it looks bearish, but I think what we're seeing now is a weekly retracement. So I think there's a good chance it's going to head up to 1.1 up here, and then I think it's going to go down. And actually, it's really interesting. A pattern that looks like this. Da, 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 da. Is not a bad one. So you get that kind of a move up. It's a very good one. You can get a temporary uptrend, which is just a weekly retracement, and then there's a nice, so there could be a nice setup there. Okay. Pound CAD, also not really seeing anything I like here. It's looking bullish, but don't really like it. As you get more and more experience as a trader, you need less and less. Your ability to read the energy and the momentum in the candlesticks gets better. It's a fine-tuning thing, but you start to be able to realize it. You don't need as much of the higher time frame as confirmation. But until you get to that place, you need higher time frame. You have to have it. Right now, this looks nice and bullish. Okay. Meaning that I don't really have to see the weekly to know that. I can see it's nice and bullish, but I need to also know how much room it has before it hits its head on a ceiling. This is a mess. Just look at this. So that's a mess. So if you found the trading recently to be a bit of a mess, that's the case. This is interesting to me. That's a double bottom. Really nice. Boom, boom. Not very strong bullish divergence on that, but very cool. And then we have the move up and the first really pullback. This is a good, is this a candle? No, it's pound Kiwi. So this could also be a potential setup for the same reason. So if tomorrow we see a boost, pound Kiwi and euro Kiwi, similar setups. The only problem with pound Kiwi is the decimal places. Like you can have a 300 pip move on pound Kiwi. It's like the biggest move, average move ATR thing that they have. Okay, Aussie Kiwi. I'd need a pullback into this area. So nothing really happening there. Aussie CAD is a mess, but it looks like it wants to break out to the upside. Aussie Swissy is looking more bullish right now. See, they're all coming off support levels here. Aussie Yen, just a mess. So the Yen pairs just generally are not going anywhere right now. That's looking nice and bullish. So I think Kiwi CAD is going to head higher. So far we've seen Euro CAD potentially heading higher, Aussie CAD potentially heading higher. And now we've had literally this whole big thing is a double bottom. So on the weekly, that is a double bottom. But on the daily, we've literally just had another double bottom. So double bottom, double bottom. So double bottom is bullish. We've had a weekly double bottom and then literally a daily double bottom on top of that. That's a very bullish sign. So the problem is it's also a very big candle. We know there's a high up here. So what does that mean? To me, a valid way of trading it, and very important, let me preface this by saying, this is not a trade suggestion. I'm talking to you about how, when you're freestyle trading, you're freestyle price action, you're just freestyle trading, not just trading a trend strategy or something. I'm trading a double bottom pattern here. This is how I would do it. This is not financial advice. Just chew on it as an academic idea. I would get in on the high of that, like that, stop loss below the low, and target 3 to 1. So I just look to do that. Even better potentially would be a lower time frame entry. So go down to the 2 hours and look to be able to get in somewhere. If price comes back to test this level tomorrow, you know how candles overlap? So there would be, tomorrow's candle will open, come down a bit, and then go off. And if it did, it would potentially come back down into this area tomorrow, and then I can put my stop loss there. So there's a very lazy, easy way to do it. Just buy above when it breaks the high tomorrow, stop loss below the low here, and just close it out a couple of days later. So it depends on the amount of time here. But if I watch it, there's a lot of charts that are hinting here at potentially a very bullish close tomorrow. You can see how many of them are looking like they might just go up tomorrow. We'll see if that's the case. But then I could look for a pullback, look for a better entry on the 1 hour time frame, put my stop loss there, or put my stop loss there. Both are valid, and then target up to that level. And from experience, that's where I think it's likely to go to. So we'll see. Let me know if that makes sense. So as you get more and more experience, your brain becomes a bit more flexible. And so you can start to see lots of different trading opportunities. You see it. You have more confidence because you don't make as many mistakes. And you know that if you just take more trades, you're going to make more money. And you're not cocky anymore. It's confidence that's been replaced, like certainty. But I haven't got the right word. Again, that's a double bottom. That's another bullish setup. So that's Kiwi Swissy. I find that interesting. So again, Kiwi Swissy is also looking very bullish. It's a same thing. It's a weekly double bottom and a daily double bottom. So was that Aussie Swissy? Yeah, no. Aussie Swissy is a higher low, so that's also looking bullish. Where was the one that was a pound Kiwi or something? No. Hold on. I'll get it now. Okay, it was that one. So Kiwi CAD, Kiwi Swissy, Kiwi Yen. Okay, so Kiwi pairs are looking nice and bullish. So you can see what it is. It's Kiwi pairs are looking nice and bullish there. All right, let's see. CAD Yen. No. Swissy Yen. Pullback. It could be a potential setup here. So Swissy Yen could have something in this area. So the way you would do it is you could take today's one as a signal, entry above that, stop loss below the low, and if tomorrow it takes off, you have that. Again, from a weekly perspective, I would expect it to come back down to test this level. So I'd still expect it to come down a little bit further. CAD Swissy, nothing. Okay, nothing there. Okay, so let's go and have a look at the rest of the markets. Gold. I think gold's overextended. I think it needs to come back down here. I think it did just the absolute bare minimum to do that. But we'll have to see. Again, if we get dollar weakness, it'll push up. I think it should have come further down. I think it should have touched 1940. So I would have expected it to be 1940. Yeah, silver's doing a nice retracement. So silver's retracing a bit better. What's happening on natural gas? Natural gas is really trying to turn around in this area, man. Excuse me. Brent crude, not great, not ideal. That's a big level, so we might see it come down a little bit further. And sugar was looking very nice and bullish. That looks fine, but nothing great. So let's look at the indices. So the indices, how we finish tomorrow is I think, very important. Look, we're all very weak at the moment, but it's, in some cases, look at DAX. Look at the DAX. The DAX is desperately trying to kind of turn around. FTSE, I don't have the up-to-date version, so that's pushed a little bit lower. So it doesn't look like that now. The Nikkei is closing lower. We've got ASX closing lower. So when I look at a few of these things, so for example, if I look at Meta to my mind still has not corrected enough. So that still hasn't corrected enough. And there was one more. But look at Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is really nice and bullish. That's very nice. So now you're starting to get different types of behavior with different things. How's Berkshire? Berkshire's fine. So Berkshire's just a beautiful retracement into this area. So I still am struggling to believe that this is a bear market. I'm not trying to live in denial. This is something different. It's not a straightforward overextended bull market that needs to correct. It's not that. This is something else. Excuse me. There was something else that had Nvidia still has to have a correction. So this still has to have a correction, I think, down to here. So Nvidia and Netflix are a big chunk of the NASDAQ. Obviously, they need to correct. So I think NASDAQ is potentially going to take it's going to carry a lot of weight. But it was lagging last year. It was lagging this year as well. So possibly we will see maybe we might even see other markets pick up before the NASDAQ. Let's see how that goes. All right, guys, wrapping up. And there goes Bitcoin. Was that today? No, today we're still here. We're overextended. We need to come down 32,000 potentially. We need to have that correction. We need to have a bit of a correction down here. So if you take fib levels and you just measure from there up to there, we need a correction into this area, if nothing else. We broke through a level. We broke out of a band. We need to have a retracement. So I can do it by eye, or I can just look at support resistance levels, or we can add Fibonacci. They're generally all the same thing. You can see it looks much more obvious here. A nice little bit of a correction down there might do well. But, you know, if nothing else, just you might get an overlap. So you might get a weekly candle that does this. Something like that. Okay. Could come down here, could, but that looks a bit weird. Something like that would make more sense. Oh no, what did I say? 32,000, somewhere there. Yeah, something like that. That would do well. All right, guys. So that's it from me. Anything else before I wrap up for today? Any other questions? Michael, sorry, I just missed that. For some reason, I didn't see it. Michael, as always, my favorites, all of you guys. Very much appreciate it. So, quick question. I was thinking I might try and resume this evening scan thing for now, just for the time being. Is that something that you guys would want? I will try to do it, probably not necessarily on a Friday night, so probably Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, 3 or 4 nights out of those, same time-ish. And if you guys like that, then let me know. Okay, timing is perfect. Okay, good. Then let me know. Cool. All right. Could I? Okay, good. All right, thanks, Osman. I'll do that. All right, gents, I will let you go now, and I'm going to head off as well. Thank you. It's been a long day. It's always a pleasure, and I look forward to doing more of these with you guys. So thank you very much. I'll end the stream, and I will see you. Probably the next time will be Monday night or Tuesday night. You too. Have a good evening. Have a good evening, guys. Thank you. Thanks.